Welcome back to the Sales Growth Showcase, where we share insights from today's top sales leaders so that you can make more money and feel more connected to your customers. I'm joined today by Alecia Spencer. Alecia, thank you so much for being here. Why don't you briefly tell us a little bit about who you are and how you impact others?
Hi, Mark. Thank you so much for having me. I am a Cincinnati, Ohio native. I am currently a senior director of inside sales for Gannett USA Today Network. I have spent the last 25 years honing my skills in the inside sales space, working with business customers to expand their footprint and really enjoy the coaching component of the role and working with people and helping sales professionals develop into their best.
Fantastic. Well, as a sales leader and someone who enjoys coaching others, there's no doubt that you have great insights as to some of the challenges and opportunities going on in sales today. So let's start with the challenges. What do you see as one of the biggest areas of challenge today when it comes to successful selling in today's marketplace?
So, I think the most obvious thing is that we're all virtual, and really working with sales professionals to, navigate the development component of, being successful in sales while being at home, right? And not, being exposed to some of the other professionals and their colleagues who, they maybe work to share best practices with because, coming from inside sales, they're all kind of right there together. So I think one of the major challenges now is how do we create the environment that drives enthusiasm and success in a virtual world? What type of exercises and skill building activities do we do? And as we look to do those things, how do we make them engaging? How do we move away from it maybe just being a PowerPoint screen share to really pulling in salespeople to give them meaningful experiences that really allow them to grow.
And I love that because I really do agree that I think today it takes much more than just sharing some slides over Zoom or Microsoft Teams or whatever it may be. And I love that you're thinking about that interaction and engagement. Briefly, can you share with us something that you have found that is successful? I know there's lots of things you must be doing, but something that you've discovered or you've been using for some time that is effective at helping people feel more engaged?
Sure. I think, the one thing that stands out for me and is probably, kind of obvious, maybe not, is really being intentional about delivering activities in small groups. Oftentimes as we have sales teams that are, 50, 60 people sometimes, that further diminishes, the reward that we get because people tend to be less engaging the larger the audience. So what I found to be very helpful is, to really be proactive to set up these skill building sessions, whether it's, a webinar, whether it's truly a, role play exercise, driven session that it's really limited to, 6 to 8 people at max, so that you really create the environment that's, number one, a safe space. And because there are fewer participants, people are more likely to be involved. Even if you are, calling on people specifically or setting up the exercise that really require involvement, I think that people are more likely and more comfortable in smaller groups.
Right. So now we talked about the challenge and some of the things you're doing to address it. So now let's look at the opportunity. What are some of the opportunities that you see because of this more virtual environment, or just because we're coming back out of some of the lockdown? Where do you see opportunity today?
I think the opportunity is that the talent pool has expanded. So, in some cases in inside sales, that could be, there's a limit to the talent and you're limited to the area that you're in. And I think historically, as inside sales professionals, we have worked, to make sure that the people who we hire are people who are in our area. We want to really be focused on, are these people that are, can travel to our site, whether it be just from a day-to-day perspective or for meetings. And, just by happenstance, now we've kind of shifted that thought process to say, you know what, maybe it's not so bad that we can identify talent that's on the other side of the US that can make a significant impact because of their skill and background, and not limit ourselves to, just hiring people who are, physically close to the inside sales center. So I think that's been a huge benefit. I mean, I will say that probably over the last year, a lot of my colleagues and I have kind of fought against that. It's really tough to hire people in the first place. Now, I think we've continued to push like, wow, it's tough to hire. I can't find the right candidates in my area. But I will say in the past several months, I've started to think, let's look beyond local, and let's take what maybe wasn't a great thing and turn it into a benefit by expanding the horizon, the talent pool, and really identifying the people that are going to make an impact. Now that we know how to train virtual, now that we know how to manage virtual.
But we talked about people and the importance of finding the right people wherever they may be now because of virtual, as well as ways to better engage them and make sure that they are well trained. So now let's focus. We'll spend just one question asking about the customers themselves. But when you're in this virtual environment, what are you and your teams thinking about as a way to better connect to your customers to drive sales?
So I feel like we have to leverage the technology very similar to the way that we've been leveraging technology for internal meetings, training sessions, and so on. It used to, if I think back, several years in terms of how we do a presentation, it may not have been as important to use video, right? May not have been as important to make sure that you have, more of a presentation style deck, especially if you're working on an inside sales desk. I think what's changed significantly is that we are really now leveraging those tools. I've seen some tools that now allow you to send a video via email. So, I think what has happened as a result of, this whole virtual environment is that we're taking that next step and doing a much better job engaging customers in a way that used to be limited to just a telephone.
Right. Well, you mentioned that you've been in the sales industry for 25 years. Let's say you meet someone that is pretty new to sales, but they share with you that they're stepping into a sales leadership role. And what is one nugget of advice you would pass on to them to help them be successful?
The one nugget of advice I would say would be a master of your craft and continue to be a student. I think, things are changing, so quickly, and the dynamics of whatever your industry is, what's most important is that you continue to, keep your finger on the pulse of the changes and what your customers' needs are. Whatever the industry that you support, you continue to understand that industry. And then most importantly, from a sales perspective, you continue to be a master of your craft and, learn the techniques. Don't be afraid to role play. Don't be afraid to reach out to other professionals and get feedback. I was reading an article on LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago, and an industry professional was speaking to the fact that, no longer, because of technology, no longer do you have to directly learn all of the skills. You can receive skills. Skills can be transferred now simply by watching a video. I mean, you no longer have to say, wow, I was in the industry for 10 years and learned X. Now you can literally watch professionals read content, and be a master of your craft, because so much is at our fingertips, and really pick up on selling skills and techniques simply by engaging yourself.
Well, Alecia, these have been great insights. I really appreciate you sharing them with us. There's probably no doubt that there are other sales leaders that you are connected to that either have been influential in your career, or you've just been watching and appreciating the insights that they are sharing. If I put you on the spot, because I am putting you on the spot, somebody, one or two people that come to mind that you think are fantastic sales leaders that may be willing to come on the show and share their insights?
You know what? I just joined a new organization. My VP, my new VP's name is Michael Thompson, and I have worked with him for 8 weeks, and he has proven thus far to be an amazing leader, amazing sales leader. Very smart, very analytical. And someone that I feel like I can really learn a lot from. So he definitely stands out. In terms of a second person, I would probably say my previous SVP or Chief Sales Officer, Chris Martini, who's a Chief Sales Officer at Patient Point, also is a very strong sales leader, very analytical as well as very strategic, and understands how to go to market. So those are the two people that stand out for me.
Well, that's great. And my apologies. I really did put you on the spot because we didn't have a chance to talk about that beforehand, but you did a great job. And I appreciate you sharing those names. I look forward to connecting with them and inviting them so that we can continue to learn from them, just as you obviously have in your career. Oh,
absolutely.
Thank you so much, Alecia, for taking the time to be here and sharing your experiences and insights with us. And I very much appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thank you too, Mark.
And thank you, folks, for tuning in to the Sales Growth Showcase. Until we have a chance to be together again, I hope you reach invincible success.